Hi, welcome back. Today I just want to talk about the scripture when God said he would never leave us nor forsake us. Thank you, Jesus. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, Lord. Allow the words that are coming out of my mouth be acceptable. Okay, so as I was going through my little situation this year up until now, I had to allow myself to know that God will never leave me nor forsake me, no matter how quiet the situation is. No matter what it is that I'm going through, I had to allow myself to know that he will never forsake me. And I told you guys in one of the other videos that I just brought me an Amplified Bible. So when I looked up Hebrews 13:5, I like that verse better than the regular King James Version or the New Living Translation. And I'm going to read you what this one says, but I'm not going to read what the NLT is. You can look that up because for sake of time, I don't be up here that long. So for Hebrews 13:5, the Amplified Version says, let your character, your moral essence, your inner nature, and if you go back through some of my videos, you'll see where I talk about your inner self a lot. Be free from love of money, shun greed, be financial ethical, meaning be a good steward over the things God give you, and especially with your money. Being content with what you have, being content with what you have, being grateful for the things that you have. But when they're saying being content, not to the point where you're stuck and you don't want to grow. Not that. For he has said, I will never leave you without support, nor will I in any degree leave you helpless, nor will I forsake or let you down or relax my hold on you. Assuredly not. And for that part that says assuredly not, it has Joshua 1:5. So you can look up that verse and see what that means. So here's my thing. During this life, especially this year of 2022, we may feel as though God has left us. We may feel as though God is not answering us at a proper time or manner. He's not answering. And I'm going to be talking about not answering a lot because God has been so quiet over the last few months for me. And like I said in my other video, every now and then he'll pop out a verse for me to meditate, study, allow me to know that he is actually here. But a lot of times we get to that point where we're asking, why is God so quiet? So I'm going to read this. I had to write this down. We often ask, why is God quiet during some of our most difficult times in life? God said he would never leave us or nor forsake us, and that his promise to us, and that is his promise to us, that he's going to never leave us and forsake us. And I think once what I had to do, because like I said, I'm really trying to search deep. I know what the promises are that I knew of. So when I Google, it is important to know the words. It's important to know exactly what your father is saying. So I had to Google, what are God's promises? And then I went, pretty much searching and researching from there. And what came to mind for me is in the book of Job. Job was a man after God's own heart. He was righteous. He was God, ride or die. He was God's everything. And we all know the story of Job when, the devil pretty much asked permission from God to be able to disturb and send distractions and all this to Job. Now, if you put yourself, which you should when you're reading, in Job's situation, I think he handled it pretty good, because me, especially back then, I probably would have fell apart. I would have fell apart. Like when everything got destroyed, his everything died. And then on top of that, when his wife said, just curse God and die, that's your partner. That's your ride or die. You wouldn't expect her to say that. But you have to think, too, on her behalf, she was also going through her own issues of feeling neglected and losing everything. But with Job, he actually did pretty good. Yes, we know that he probably cried and crying out to God, because we see in the book of Job that he did, and God was quiet. But in the right time, God came and spoke. And then he also restored the things that he lost. I would suggest you to read the whole book of Job and study it, not just read it. I'm just going through some things of people in the Bible that God did not leave, even though there was quiet. So I had to put myself in Job's situation. Like, okay, I'm going through this, I'm going through that, I'm having distractions, I'm back and forth sets, my family is dysfunctional, all these things that's going on. I had to remember Job. And that is what the Bible is there for, to give you reference, to give you hope, and to know exactly what God is saying and speaking to you. Not just people wrote the book just for it to be laid around. No, it's to give you hope. It's life. You actually have to live by it. It gives you hope. Because with the book of Job, okay, in my mind, okay, I'm going through all of this. There's a light at the tunnel. There's a light at the tunnel. But some people go through their struggles different. Some go with it with God and without God. But I'd rather struggle with God any day, because there's going to be peace, and nothing that he's taking me through is going to be taken for granted. He's going to use every single thing that I went through. He's going to use that stuff. So when God said he's not going to leave you nor forsake you, do you really, like in your heart, believe that? And for me, I have been, inner soul searching, making sure I believe those things, because I see what my reality is saying. But you actually have to believe it. I got to the point where I'm asking God, help me to believe that. It's not that I don't believe it, but when things you can have something, so much stuff on you, day after day, month after month, you don't even have a breather. Like me, sometimes you may lose your way, and sometimes you may say, what is all this for, or why, or, it's safe to say I probably wanted to give up. I wanted to give up, but I know I couldn't, and I wouldn't. So therefore I have to come back and like, okay, God, help me, give me the strength to go through this. For some reason, I don't like going through it on my own. I wish I had a mentor to help and guide me through this. But whatever he's teaching me for himself. And I came to terms with that. I'm coming to terms with it, rather. But yeah, you just got to know, no matter what your situation is, God is not going to leave you nor forsake you. You're going to have to let your character, your moral essence, your inner nature be free. So whenever, in the verse where it said, whoever the Son sets free is free indeed, you got to learn to be free. And not only just that, you got to know in your heart that God is actually with you. If everything is going wrong and your car broke down and you have to catch the bus, you got to know that it broke down for a reason, and you're catching the bus for another reason. But during all that, you know God is there. And he's not even going to not use your situation for good, because all things work together for the good. So I'm saying, because it's for me, I had to get to that point of in the car just crying like, God, you said you wouldn't leave me nor forsake me. I had to keep saying that to myself, and I'm learning how to speak those things out. Even with reading the Bible, I actually always read the Bible most times to myself. So I went to work one day and I was asking everybody, when you read a book, how do you read it, out loud or to yourself? And it's funny that a lot of people said out loud. And then I heard a pastor a few weeks ago that was saying, when you read the Bible, you should read it out loud. And I was like, oh, okay. So I have started reading it out loud, even though sometimes I'll read it out loud and sometimes I'll read it silently because I feel like I get it more. But either way, he was like, if you read the Bible silent or in your head, they're just thoughts. And I was like, okay. The words on God's Bible, the words in the Bible are meant to be spoken, are meant to be thrown out in the atmosphere so you can get what you're supposed to get. And it's not always about getting. It's about being who you're supposed to become. So like I said, these last few months, it's been hectic for me, but I'm also learning to speak. I'm learning to read it out loud. On my break at work, of course, I'm not reading it out loud, but I'm learning because I like the fact that he said the words, whenever I read it in my head, any words that I read are thoughts. The words that I'm reading, anything, how did he say it? I don't even know how he said it. But anything that you read and you don't read it out loud, but you're reading it in your mind, are thoughts. Something along that line. I wrote it down, but I wasn't going to use it for this, but I wrote it down for me to be reading, and I guess I can share it when I do something on it. But anyway, yeah, when Job went through all the things that he went through, you and I both know he was devastated. He was frustrated. He was angry. But he never turned his back on God. He never said anything out the way, but he was hurt. That's why when you read the Bible sometimes, or most times, it's good for you to try to put yourself in their shoes. When all his kids got killed, all his kids died, how do you honestly think that made him feel? When he trying to ask God what's going on, or he's seeking, or he don't know what he did wrong, which he didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes you don't do something wrong. All the time it's not what you're doing is wrong. Sometimes it's just a test. Sometimes it's just a test. And not temptation, because God never puts you in a temptation situation that's from the devil. But I just wanted to jump up here and just to express and let you see some of the verses that has kept me. And Hebrews 13:5 has kept me through this whole turmoil. Not only just what's going on in my inner circle, but also what's going on outside in the world. You ever felt that you want more, but you don't know how to get more? You're trying to figure this out. I'm trying to figure this walk out. I'm trying to figure out why I feel like this. Or, you know, when you're praying for others, why you feel like that when you're praying for others. Those things, especially when you're praying for others, that is such a heavy weight. And it's such a heavy burden But for whatever reason, that's something God has you to carry. But you have to remember, even in your own mess, you still have to continue praying for others, no matter how heavy it is. Even if you don't see no light of day, even if you're getting to the point that you're about to be put out today and you still got all this other issues going on, but you're still believing and trusting in God, you got to know that he's not going to leave you nor forsake you. And until we get that embedded in us, things not going to just too much change. Once we start doing what God asks us to do, being in obedience with him, that's when everything start coming together. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be perfect, because you're going to always have problems. He didn't ever say that. So when you're taking a bath or a shower, you just say it over and over, God will never leave me nor forsake me. When you're facing a major battle, whether it's cancer, COVID, diabetes, blood pressure, God is not designed to hurt you. You got to look at the good in every single thing. But one thing I do know is, because he's been so quiet, I remember calling my sister and friends like, he's so quiet. Why is he so quiet? He's not saying anything. I still have to remember he's working. He plainly said it right here in Hebrews 13:5. He will never leave me nor forsake me. So whatever I am going through is for my good if I didn't cause it on myself. So even with the school year, praying over your kids, it's rough out here now. It is rough. Allowing them to know about the angels that's with them day in and day out, teaching them how to pray before they go out the door, and you also praying over them. And not just only yours, the nation. It's not only your kids that's going to school. You got kids that's going to school in New York, Brooklyn, Florida, everywhere. So it's about praying for every state school. Because whatever you make happen for somebody else, God is going to make happen for you. So if you're praying about the safety of somebody else's kids that you don't even know, then God's going to make sure to keep yours covered. So that is basically all I wanted to say today. Is that was part of what I was going through, and one of the scriptures that I held deep to me, not, like it's going nowhere, because when I'm in a car, I'll say it. It's just, you just got to know. And I think that's the important thing right now, of building your relationship with God, being intimate with him, getting you stronger, where you can pull out these scriptures from out of your belly, out of your heart, and say them when something come up against you. Because right now I'm big on my soul rests in you. God is my salvation. I just keep saying that over and over. And it's a whole verse to that. I'll give you that another time. But because I at a point, I feel like I get shaken fast. So of course I had to say, God, strengthen me. I would not be shaken. I would not be shaken. And it's because when we moved, it's just us here. So I'm relying on God and God only, which that's what you do. And eventually he's going to send people, places, and things, in my life. So until then, I need to do what he's asking me to do. If I can't get this right, what makes you think he's going to bless me with something major? And I had to talk to myself in third party about that. Like, Sheikah, you're not even consistent on what he's asking you to do. And that goes for you too. How can he trust you? He can't. And to be honest, he can't trust me either, because I can't sit here constantly like I'm supposed to. Not constantly, but at least giving him my time of the videos, saying what he need me to say and keep it moving. So now I'm like, okay, this is the third time. I have to continue to do it. And that is so far off from what I was talking about with never leave me nor forsake me. I don't know where that went or why this part came up. But yeah, just know God is there. And basically these videos is for me, for whenever I get to where he's going, I get to look back and see how much I grew. Because I know some of them are so cringy. But it's the truth. The word of God is the truth. So until next time, I guess I will talk to you guys later. Bye.